How are you doing? This is Martin from Gardens for Life. So here are the results of our little experiment of growing some of these ancient edible tubers in pots. And we wanted to show as well that you can grow your own food in pots or in buckets if you don't have land where you can actually set up garden beds or raised beds. For example, if you live in an apartment and you still want to grow some of your own foods, that's possible, and you can get a little closer to the land that way as well. And so we've planted these three different types of tubers and two varieties of each, mashua, oca and Jerusalem artichoke or sunchoke, and we'll see how well they do. We grew them with minimal maintenance, basically just planting them. We have another video on that, and leaving them in the nursery here at full sunlight and just let them grow basically. As promised, we're going to raffle off the tubers from this experiment to two winners that we're going to randomly pick, and we're going to announce them shortly. And if you want to be in for a chance to win future raffles, which we're regularly running, you can just subscribe to our website. So these are the 12 buckets or pots. We had planted about just in late spring or early summer. The ocas, these four here, they do very well in pots, and the Jerusalem artichokes, they do okay. They do pretty good. The only thing is trying to keep them watered during the summer. As for the mashuas, we're not entirely sure. That's these ones here. They're a climber and normally they need more rooting space. I think we just planted them into too smaller pots before, that's why they didn't do too well. But it'll be interesting to see the results now anyway. So we'll pick up, say, start one of these golden ocas, New Zealand yam. We'll just put it into one of these crates and turn it upside down. I will use a tripod in a minute. Whoa, pretty good. They always seem to tend to grow towards the edge of the pot. Alright, so here's the first few. I'll put those into the tray here. You can get these long ones occasionally as well. Our aim was always to try and grow all these tubers, because they're so rare, they're very expensive and hard to get. And our aim was always to offer them to people at a more reasonable price per tuber, so that, or even to offer them to people to swap for whatever they have. Any kind of plants and cuttings or seeds, we're always interested. We have even a list on our website. If you go to our shop and go into barter with us. But we're very easygoing on the swapping side of things. And because then once you have start off with a reasonable amount of tubers, you can grow enough in the first year to actually start eating them. Otherwise you have to grow them for 1 year and then you have enough to plant for the year after that. And then in the second year, after the second season, growing season, you will have enough. It's not a bad yield, but it can be better, as you would have seen in one of the other videos. Just harvesting tubers from a pot. But that's not bad, considering that was only, what, about a 10-litre pot. So you can see here, it's a reasonable yield considering there was basically no work involved in planting those. So let's take a look at one of the other ones. Do you want to see the mother oca? Look, that's it. It's kind of like the potato, isn't it? You could actually plant that again. It might actually grow, but I wouldn't keep it with the other ones, with the fresh ones, and I wouldn't overwinter it with them, because it might actually well, rot the rest of them. But I'm going to throw this into our compost pile, and some of them might sprout, some of them they might not. It's okay. Now, so we'll put this tray aside for the moment, because we know we have another bucket of those ones to harvest, because we did 2 of each tuber. And what I'll do is take up the next one. This is another type of oca, New Zealand red. Wow. So I just want to show you, look at how big the tubers get. I mean, we've had quite some big ones. I'll show you a little bit later on in the video. Look at how they're all growing around the outside of the pot. The roots of the plant will grow down and the tubers appear on the side of the plant. Try and help you see these. We'll pick up all the ones from the outside first, and then we'll split the plant. We've done about 50 buckets this year actually for ourselves. As you can see, once you split the plant, you get more on the inside of the clump of soil. This was just basic 6-month-old mushroom compost. As you can see here, it's been more or less spent, but you can still throw that into a garden bed or into the compost pile and it'll do well. But I wouldn't use it again to grow tubers or anything else in a pot, because it probably wouldn't have the nutrients in it. Not optimally anyway. We also added some volcanic rock dust to give the plants a boost for trace minerals and for silica as well. It's very good for you as well to add a bit of silica to your soils, because agricultural soils have been depleted for quite some time now, and that's not health. The vegetables basically don't nourish your body as they should, and silica actually forms your nails, your skin and your hair. That's what came out of one of the other buckets, so that's the ochre red. We'll put that over here. That's a good harvest. That would easily make for a meal anyway. And each of these tubers, as you remember, maybe a tuber even smaller than that, would have been planted into the bucket directly, and we wouldn't have even had to water it during the summer. Not this summer anyway. There wasn't any major droughts. Oh, so let me just refresh that tray. I'm going to dump that out. Alright, now, so we'll put that tray aside again, and we'll start with a fresh tray. Here's one of the mashua plants. So we have a label here as well. Mashua blanca. That'll be the most popular one anyway. So I'll just dump that out. Let's see what we'll get out of it. But here's a small tuber. Let's see if there's more here. There is surely. There's some more smaller ones. When you plant them outside into a garden bed, you get an abundant harvest. We even got like maybe 30 tubers from one plant. Quite large tubers as well. Here's another small one. There isn't really much in it, but I'll show you the harvest you can get in a little clip from last winter. That's all there is in it. It's not a very good harvest on the mashuas, so it might not be worthwhile growing those in pots. Well, that's why we're doing this. No matter what the results are, we're learning. So you can see, well, as for that plant, it didn't do very well, which is the reason why we have another plant, the very same variety of the same tuber, since we planted 2 of each, and we'll see how that one does. Let me just change the tray again. We're back again. Now, here's the other mashua blanca. We always put the label with the tubers. Well, these ones are pretty obvious, you can tell what they are. They're all different colours, so let's see. Hopefully this one will have done better. If not, we'll throw in 1 or 2 tubers from our other plants from the garden anyway, to those who we're sending these out to. Normally I do this in the wheelbarrow, but our 2 wheelbarrows are actually at the other garden where we're doing a bit of work expanding at the moment. We're putting in a new bed with just lasagna style bed with all the different layers, and it's actually near an old wall which I must show you. We'll do a full tour of the other garden, a winter tour, in the next couple of weeks anyway. I mean, that's all it is from 2 mashua plants, and you can tell by the amount of growth as well throughout the year that they didn't do that well in pots. But still, right, that will grow into a new plant once you plant it outdoors, and it will do very well. All of these, but we'll definitely throw in a couple of big tubers as well. Let's give the Jerusalem artichokes a go. It's quite a large plant, as you can see here. This is the best way to harvest them. Jerusalem artichokes anyway. You can just pull them up and just whack the bottom to get the soil off. Wow, not so bad. Pretty nice. That's not a bad harvest at all. But they're still pretty good. I think that's definitely worth. It's definitely worth growing Jerusalem artichokes in pots anyway, if you don't have any space to put a garden bed in the ground. Like a lot of people, especially living in the city, would like to get closer to the land by growing some of their own food, even on the balcony. And it can be done. Potatoes can also be grown in buckets, which we'll do next year, and we'll give you a detailed video on that. You can see some of them are a little smaller, but there's quite a bit in it. I think there must be about 1 kilo in it. Some of them are bigger. Again, I'll show you just a quick view of some of these tubers and what they can look like when you plant them in the ground outside. But this is not a bad yield considering. So that's not bad. That's the Jerusalem artichoke fujio is the name of the variety. So we'll empty out the tray again. Take the small ones too. Be careful where you plant these, because you will not be able to move them again, I don't think. They're more of a permanent food crop. Because they'll actually spread, but they spread slowly in a clump, same as clumping bamboo. Let me take all the small ones out here. Even that will grow, so even if you put them in the compost pile, just be aware. Okay, that's the final yield now. Not too bad. Alright, I've had no choice but to move indoors into the polytunnel because it just started to rain. Just my luck when I get a chance to actually work on the garden with everything else going on. But anyway, that's okay. So what we'll do next is we'll do one of the other tubers. Here's the red fujio. Let's see how it turned out. Yes, there's the label. So we get a new tray for those ones. Wow, pretty good. It's very easy to harvest, as you can see. You don't even need any tools. And there's 2 big clumps of them. in the pot. You just have to kind of pull them apart, and this is what you'd plant, or you can eat it as well. Just be aware that, of course, with the Jerusalem artichokes, their nickname is fartichoke because there's inulin in them, and you best wait, I believe, towards the end of the winter to neutralize the inulin, because it actually turns into sugars for the plant to grow new leaves at that point. Or you can cook it in certain ways and it also neutralizes the inulin as well. But they're very healthy, and in small amounts inulin is actually very good for the digestive system. It's a probiotic, or a prebiotic I think is the name for that actually. But you might want to look that up anyway. But in general they're actually quite a good food, and often served in fairly high class restaurants as well as soup and otherwise. I've heard people using them as chips as well. You can just eat them like sweet potatoes as well. And whichever ways. Well, these are the red fujio variety of Jerusalem artichoke. Still pretty good soil, but I'd say after 10 litres of soil has produced this many tubers, I would say it's probably almost exhausted of nutrients, at least for nutrients of which this plant needs, especially nitrogen. Like the sunflowers is actually a tuber sunflower. Sunflowers are often actually planted as a nitrogen consuming plant. It actually consumes an awful lot of nitrogen because of its big leaves. And if you have a lot of nitrogen in soil and you want to create a lot of biomass, and you want to make sunflower oil, for example, or sunflower seeds, well then that's the perfect plant to grow. And if you have a deficiency in nitrogen, you may as well plant some nitrogen fixing plants like the lupins, or the peas and beans, and the locusts as well. And here are the end results from the 12 buckets, all harvested. The ochas did really well. We've already grown them in buckets before, so we sort of knew that. And the red ones and the golden New Zealand. And we also have the Jerusalem artichokes, which is these ones. And although a little smaller than when you grow them out in the field, they're still a nice size. And by God, it's sure is an abundant crop. The red fujio as well. Fujio and red fujio. So they did very well. The ocha, or sorry, the mashuas on the other hand did not do very well in pots. As you can see here, there's only a few little amarillos here, not very much, but they'll still grow next year. And once you plant them out into a garden bed, they'll do much better. And also the mashua blanca, as you can see, they're rather small now. We've had very good results with them outdoors, as you'll see in one of our harvest videos. We probably get probably 20 to 30 big large tubers out of them normally, and here from 2 plants we've only got maybe 5 small ones from each of the mashua plants. But there you are now. That's what having an experiment is all about. We now know that ocha and Jerusalem artichoke do really well from a pot, grown in a pot, and mashuas are not really worth doing in pots because I think they just need more rooting space. Alright, thanks for watching, and hopefully the winners will enjoy their tubers, and we'll check on their progress. Hopefully they'll be able to send us a few pictures of what they'll harvest in years to come. Thanks for watching. All the best. Bye bye.